Hi, I'm Jonathan Bird, and welcome to my world.
We head back down to the wreck. The Goliath groupers are all around the wreck in abundance. These groupers are so large that they don't need to worry about too many predators. With almost no current now, they head away from the protection of the wreck into open water. Clouds of cigar minnows stick to the groupers like glue, eagerly anticipating millions of delicious eggs that the groupers will release when they spawn. The medium-sized fish, called jacks, make runs at the cigar minnows to see if they can catch a meal. David is caught up in the action, photographing the cigar minnows surrounding the groupers. I keep looking for any kind of mating activity, but something totally unexpected catches my eye. It's a manta ray swimming among the groupers. I move in for a shot of the ray. It doesn't seem afraid of me. I have to believe it's no coincidence that a manta has shown up here. Mantas are filter feeders, and this one is probably hoping to join the cigar minnows and feed on some grouper eggs. The manta seems intrigued by our video lights, and she keeps coming over to me. So I put my camera down and give her a little belly rub. And then the manta swings around and says hi to Pierre. What a thrill for both of us! Any dive with a manta ray and fish the size of refrigerators is definitely a good day at the office. The Galapagos. These remote islands are one of my favorite places in the world to dive. The land ranges from desert-like and inhospitable to lush and green. And the Galapagos are famous for endemic species such as the massive land tortoise that munches on grass and leaves, and the marine iguana. Underwater, huge schools of hammerhead sharks patrol the drop-off. And a sea lion, apparently knowing that it's a protected species, sleeps peacefully just inches from my lens. The sea lions in the Galapagos are so comfortable around people that they've even taken over a few of the marinas. Good luck walking down these steps. Out on a beach, a sea lion mother sleeps peacefully while her pup nurses. Pretty soon it will be mom's turn to go feed and the pup will rest. On the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, there lives a rather large fish called a potato grouper. You can probably see the resemblance. And they're big. This one is off to the cleaning station, where a cleaner wrasse picks its nose. Talk about service. But the grouper doesn't really want me to watch. A moray eel doesn't like to leave her den during the day, so a pair of cleaner fish come to her. But sometimes the plucking of parasites hurts a little. Anemone fish don't dare leave the protection of their anemone to get cleaned by cleaner fish. And since the cleaner fish would be stung and killed by the anemone, they can't go to the anemone fish. What to do? In this case, a cleaner shrimp lives in the anemone with the fish, ready to spring into action whenever a fish needs cleaning. It's not a life without difficulty, however. On an Indonesian reef, I find a beautiful pink sea fan. At first glance, you would never suspect that it has tiny inhabitants. But closer inspection reveals a seahorse, no larger than my fingernail. It's a pygmy seahorse. The color and knobby bumps on the pygmy seahorse's skin perfectly mimic the appearance of the sea fan where it lives, a classic example of mimicry. They're only visible if they move. These animals live their entire lives in safety because they're nearly invisible to predators, and they never have to leave the safety of the sea fan because they feed on plankton drifting right by their home. A sailfish uses its bill like a sword to slash through the bait ball and stun a sardine. Then it can gobble the fish down. They're getting awfully close. Sometimes the sailfish even skewer sardines on the end of their bills. Whoa, did you see that? Watch it again in slow motion. Here comes a sailfish from the left, and it nails a sardine right in front of the camera. Even in slow motion, it's fast. Watch it even slower. Boom, right there. Talk about good aim. Another crab has a different symbiotic strategy for survival. This decorator crab grows living sponges, hydroids, algae, and tunicates on its body to create camouflage. When the crab holds still, you will never see it against the similar background. Only when it moves does it give itself away. In the ocean, perhaps the animals most commonly involved in symbiotic relationships are shrimp. Shrimp are found associated with sea cucumbers, sea urchins, sea stars, crinoids, nudibranchs, anemones, coral, you name it. They're everywhere. Why? Well, because they make great snacks. Fish love to eat shrimp. So shrimp need to be clever to keep from becoming lunch. Out on the sandy seafloor of the Philippines, a fire urchin slowly makes its way across the bottom, feeding on algae. The urchin's venomous spines protect it from most predators. On top of the urchin, a pair of Coleman shrimp ride like first-class passengers. The shrimp have used their claws to clear the spines off a little spot they call home. This is a commensal relationship because the shrimp get protection from the urchin, but they don't offer anything in return to the urchin. Neither do they harm the urchin, so they're not parasites either. Another shrimp, another free ride. This Spanish dancer is a large nudibranch, a snail without a shell. It's about the size of your hand. On its back rides an imperial shrimp. The shrimp survives by eating the nudibranch's poop. It gets a free ride and a meal from the nudibranch, but it gives nothing in return. Here's a shrimp with a little more to offer. This shrimp lives with a goby, a small fish, in a burrow in the sand on the sea floor. The shrimp works hard to keep the place clean and tidy, constantly arranging the rocks at the entrance and shoveling out the sand that gets inside. Why do all this work for the goby? The shrimp needs someone to stand guard. While it works, the shrimp keeps one antenna in contact with the goby, while the fish keeps its eyes peeled. If the goby moves, the shrimp retreats. This is classic mutualistic symbiosis because both animals get something out of their relationship. High above the shrimp's head is a much larger animal, a whale shark the size of a bus. Swimming around it are a few fish called jacks. These fish are using the whale shark as a bodyguard. They know that nothing will dare attack the whale shark, it's too big. So if they hang around, they're safe too. The whale shark eats only plankton and tiny fish, so the jacks are safe from the shark's humongous appetite. These are only a handful of examples of the symbiotic relationships in the ocean. There are thousands of different animals all working together to survive, and it's one of the things that makes the blue world so exciting to explore. But I keep scanning the bottom, and at last I've found my quarry, an olive sea snake, the most common species around the Great Barrier Reef. It's swimming along the bottom doing the same thing everything else is doing, looking for food. The sea snake is closely related to a land snake, except it's adapted for life underwater. When a sea snake flicks its tongue, it's getting rid of excess salt secreted by special glands in its mouth. Sea snakes live exclusively in the ocean, but since they're reptiles, their kidneys can't deal with too much excess salt in their blood. A sea snake gets around with a flattened section of tail that looks like an oar and serves as a fin. It looks just like an eel when it swims, undulating its body and getting propulsion from that flattened tail. Although sea snakes prefer to eat eels, shrimps, and fish, these snappers aren't at all afraid of the sea snake because they're way too big for the sea snake to bite. This snake is heading for the surface to grab a breath of air. A sea snake, just like a land snake, has lungs and must breathe air to survive.